Hello, and welcome back to Factorio Space Age. We are continuing roughly where we left off from before. I did let the system run for a bit, and tinkered with it a little bit, and let it run for a bit, and yeah, so roughly where we left off. But as I said, we're mainly focusing on getting into the space age content. So if we skip forward a little bit now and then, no problem. I just didn't do anything major. We have, at this point, researched everything we can research, short of actually making a steel plate. So we've not made any steel. We've just done the research for everything we could research. That means we have radars that we can put down, and we have all sorts of other stuff. Since we now are going to be doing no more research in the nanobases, I can actually pick all of this up. There we go. Now, as I pick up the nanobase, I'll pick it up when I no longer need to make anything. No, each thing that I no longer need to make, I will pick up. And I need to have a box to put stuff in. I'm collecting a lot of stuff at this point. So we don't need to be carrying that or that, because we're almost full here. I started looking at putting out our radars and such, and they require more power, so I can put them down. But I think what I'm going to do first is actually place new power. I'm going to rework the power system. So we're going to start by picking up the old power and putting down the new stuff. And I have 10 boilers and 20 steam engines and a whole bunch of pipes that I can work with. I am going to leave a maximum underground jump. It's really nice that they show you when you've reached the limit with that little green thing. Beautiful, I love that. I'm going to put in a couple of pipes here for doing other things, and then we're going to start working on our general form for our power plant. The power plant is going to stretch north and west from here. While we can handle up to 200 boilers for a pump, the old was 20, so what I'm going to do in tip of the hat to that is we're going to run upwards for 20 boilers. Okay. So there's our basic power unit. Putting the power here allows us to do that. Now, we could also put the power on the other side. Okay. But I don't think that works out quite so well. I'll show you why. If we have that as our basic unit, and I flip it horizontally and leave just leave it just like this, first of all, the power connects, and second of all, this is a maximum distance connection right here. And we get fuel coming in there. I'm going to do a separate fuel line. Oh, we need to put in fuel over here too. I'm trying to establish the actual footprint to reserve space for the power plant later. Okay, so we'll need to have space down here for doing all of the blueprint jiggery-pokery. Not blueprint, all the belt stuff. And that's actually not important. We can work that out later. We'll just make sure to reserve space down there to do belt work. We also will need to reserve space here to do belt work, sending some belts off to the left. It will be probable that in the future we will have bigger belts and possibly multiple belts coming in with coal. So this is all set. We have water coming in. I can go get some coal. Oh, that's going to be a problem. I'm carrying a whole lot of stuff on me. Let's drop that stuff in there for now. Because I am doing no handcrafting, there's no point in carrying ingredients unless I'm putting it in these machines. So let's drop down those guys. Okay, so that gets us a little bit of that. Okay, so we're going to be connecting that up to coal in a bit. For now, though, I do need to lay out my power plant to reserve space. Snap to grid, absolute. We've got the exact layout here. We have power up top. We have that. Oh, we don't have lights. I actually researched lights. So I'm going to put lights in like this. And these guys, oops, are going to be configured to be always on. There. So now we have lights. And what I will do is I will populate lights as I populate the rest of this. So now we can grab all the way down to here. We've got our lights, we've got our power, we have the wrong stuff coming in on the left. I am so glad I am checking this carefully as I go. Okay, so what I should do is route coal to the whole thing and make sure it works before I do this. But because this is really just reserving space, I'm going to grab that, snap to grid. We're going to call this power unit because I'm going to save this off for later, just in case. Don't know if I'll need it or not. Might. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You also notice that I have simplified the graphics. I was thinking, with all the stuff turned up really fancy, it kind of hits the bit rate in the chest. So we are going to not worry too much. And I can actually trim this back later. I don't need to do it right now. We'll trim everything as we go. Anyway, simplifying it means we won't be stressing out the YouTube compression algorithms, or more likely we will be avoiding stressing ourselves out about the compression algorithms doing ugly things to us. And that connects up to our original power lines. But I want to not use the power coming from my nano bases. So we're going to draw the real power lines over like this. I'm going to draw you all the way over to the iron and past. Okay, so we kind of have a horizontal power line set up here. And now we need to drop a vertical down. I'm going to get rid of this guy. I need to be to the left of everything. So from here, so call it this guy. Was it this one? It's one to the left of that. Okay, this guy comes south. And you're going to go all the way past the coal, since you're my main north-south line. We're going to get rid of this, so we are no longer dependent on the power passing through the nanobases, because the nanobases are going to go away at some point. I don't want to have to rerun power. There we go. Oh, and I've been using Power Grid Comb, and while I had these originally set up so the power went in kind of a square here, the comb kind of set it up like this, and I kind of like it. Yeah, I do. So we now have power running. I am going to put the rest of my power in. This should be half of the right-hand side here. So 2, 3, oops. I forgot. Need to put in the power poles first. put him all the way up. I don't want to put the power poles in the wrong place just because there was a tree, so we'll stop there. Okay, that's as far up as we go. I probably should have put the lights in one further to the right. Okay. I never did put down my power unit in my stuff here. I've been working on some other blueprints here. So power unit is needs to be filed away somewhere. And I'm going to need to have some trees taken away like this. Let's go to 4x speed on getting rid of trees. That wasn't what I wanted. Okay, back to 1x. Okay, so if you chop one down, you keep holding the button, it should only do the trees. If you didn't mess up, and I sometimes mess up. Also, for some reason, sometimes my mouse will release the button even though I think I'm holding it. Maybe that's me, maybe that's the mouse, maybe that's the software. Who knows what it is. But it is what it is, it happens, so I just roll with it. And it seems to happen whether I'm using Linux or Windows, so it's not going to be a simple software thing. Okay. I'm going to run all of this all the way up now that we're clear. Okay, so all the power poles are run. These guys are easy to run because they have the power poles in line. Oops, well, hold on, not too far. And we run them back. I'm going to put the lamps in. There we go. So that used up, oh, I've got 2 more of these. And 4 more of these. How about that? There we go. What's that big red mark up there? Probably a stone. Let's go to 4x. Take out some trees. I can just swing up there and get rid of the rock. There we go. And we now have our power plant with the site prepared. So I'll use the word site prep a lot. Mainly that involves clearing out underbrush and removing trees and rocks, and sometimes it will involve putting down, let's see, this is actually the end of the planned extent of the world, so I can trim some of this off. Trimming this off doesn't save us any significant resources, but it does cue me in that we've reached the end of it. I'm going to run all the way out to the upper left-hand corner here, where I am going to put a radar. You're the upper left-hand corner of my base, so you got a radar. Okay. Inserters. There we go. I only made 5 radars. And I really wanted to put 4 of them in the middle to basically double stuff the coverage for now. That gives us a little more speed on scanning. We'll probably move the radars out from here so that we get better coverage. What I'd like to do is have the radars set up so each one of them covers exactly to that intersection. That is the origin of our coordinate system, by the way. I think that's going to do it for me for a radar for the moment. Could make more, don't need to. So that has our power set up and our radar set up. If I check this, well, we don't actually have power set up yet because I need to get coal going to here. We're going to run out of power when that coal that I stuffed in those guys comes up empty. All the way out to here, and I'm going to come north. This is going to be the main line for all of our coal going to power. You know what? I think I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to move that to the left a little bit because we're going to be doing some other things. We're going to have to route the iron and the copper and the coal north along this line. I'm going to move this power line 1 to the west. Let's do this. There we go. That'll give us some room to maneuver around. Now currently this power is just going out here to where I was making additional stuff, which I don't actually need. We may or may not have room for it. I'm going to put down a box here to put coal in, which no doubt will get a lot more coal in it in the very near future. We've got some brick and some raw stone that I set up. This should be, yeah, a modest amount. So, back to 1x speed on the game, thank you. So what I want to do is set up some mines on the coal, so it's all going north. Oh, look at what's happened here. We actually ran out of coal. So we're going to go up here, I'm going to grab all the coal that I brought with me, and I'm just going to paint it into all of those guys. Now, we do have a whole bunch of electric mining drills. So I am going to use a mining layout that is simpler to lay out, even though it's not quite balanced. Here's what it looks like. Oops, you are not at the right distance. These poles are all set to their maximum distance. Like that. I start with the miners here, so they are outputting onto a line just north of the poles. Now from the south, I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And from the north, we start at the same place. And that's 9 of them. So it's 9 to 8, which is close. It doesn't fill the belt. It's close enough. And just for fun, I'm going to lay out the second one here. We can start picking up these. We're not going to need the burner mining drills as we put these guys out. Now, because I have all of my stuff ready to go here, I can put in a lane balancer. And I happen to like this form of the lane balancer. I'm going to put it on both. Now this guy, I'm going to bring you all the way out to here where we're going to merge the two lines. Okay? And then we're going to split them again. I'm going to put the priority to the left. So whatever we get out here is going to help fuel the main line. And the rest of it is going to go north to wherever. And I can't believe we actually have gone through all of our coal at this point. That's freaking ridiculous. Anyway. Notice I still have a lot of coal on me. As I was picking up all those mines, of course, they all had their coal. Now, these mines, I'm going to use this for a blueprint. And what I want to do is I want to include in the blueprint some lighting. So I'm just going to put one light in like that. And you are going to be always on. Like that. So I hear sound effects in the back of biters. Have I found any on the radar? I have not found any on the radar. I don't know why that sound effect is triggering. Okay, go to map mode, and I'm going to strike them in here. Then we're going to go here, and I'm going to actually drop them in. Okay, now I can do a Control-C copy of this whole thing here. This is a it's a miner line. And we are using electric mining drills, and we are using yellow belts, and we are using electric poles, and we are going to do some splitter work at the end. There we go. Power unit and miner line, all ready to go. So this coal line will eventually dump into our smelters up here. So what I'm thinking is big power here. The smelters are going to be here. They're going to start off on this line, and the smelters themselves will be smelter lines that grow to the left as we need to expand them for capacity. I'm going to start them small, but eventually I want these smelters to be able to expand to smelting a blue belt of ore into a blue belt of plate, each one, using the steel furnaces. And I believe that's 72 of them. Anyway, so apparently we didn't put a whole lot of fuel in these guys. And they got a little bit of fuel here. So I put in fuel. Oh. Helps if I actually put water in the rest of them. There we go. Now, what are we going to do with all of the coal that I've picked up? Well, what I want to do is put a guy down here. Put it over here. I've got more room. So if I put it here, does that get me? Yes, it does. So this will put it on the right-hand side. That'll put it on the left. We can put all of our coal in here. And we're going to prioritize input priority from the left for now. Well, let's input priority from the right. Output priority to the left, but deconstruction planners, so nothing goes to the left. There we go. So this is our backup supply. And I should probably put an alert on this so if we ever start using the backup supply, we know something's gone wrong. And here comes our primary supply. Yay! And once the power coal has backed up, we get this. So there's coal. We now have coal feeding in. That's automating the power for us. And we've got a belt of coal heading out to where we are anticipating putting our smelters in. Okay, next thing, we have stone and copper and iron. I think I can mine the copper out to the left. We're just going to grab this whole thing and I'm going to set it up so that it's aligned with the other one just because, and we're going to move it north until it's not grabbing any coal and check the northern end of it, make sure it's not grabbing any copper. That looks good. Okay, so we're going to start out with 2 smelters worth of copper. How about that? And we're going to bring out 2 lines from here to do copper. I can stripe this in. This will be a lot easier once we have robots. Now this time I didn't line the mining up with my main power, so we have to actually do something like that. And if I hit it with the power grid comb, it regularizes it so that that power pole is looking good. I need to go back and get more miners. So before I go back and make more miners, I'm gonna, oh, do I have more? I have more in the box. Yay! 43 more. That'll last us for a little bit. I wanted to get something to smelt. I wasn't sure which resource was going to actually make the best. I was considering the possibility that I was going to have to bring the copper in along the right. But we're bringing the copper in on the left, so it's going to be the first machines. I'm going to do the same thing here, where I'm going to prioritize the left lane. So the first smelter is going to get, actually, let's prioritize the right. So we'll end up with copper smelter, lower priority, copper smelter, higher priority, iron high, iron low. I need to get steel in above that. And at some point, we're going to bring stone in, and it will have to have its own stuff. We also have this iron ore up here, which I might want to tap this to drive the steel. So use this to drive a couple lines of iron, and then tap in steel from up here. We'll see about that. Okay, but let's start off with actually laying out our first. Are we out of? Couldn't be out of belts. I made a lot of belts going into this. We are out of belts. Hold on a second while I make a bunch more belts. Okay, we are back. I've got more belts on me. I arranged to capture some more coal because we're going to need to keep this guy going up here so we can make more belts. And there's copper. So, blueprints. Under mini base, I have a parametric guy here, which is exactly what I want to use for doing this. I need to set it out a little bit so that the copper can come into line in the proper place. I could put it there. I'm going to put it over. I think I'll put it here. We are making copper plate. I'm going to put down 2 of these. While I'm putting it down, the next 2 are going to be iron plate. Then we're going to do, I don't know, steel or maybe stone to brick. I don't know. This means I need to bring the coal over like that. Second line of copper needs to skip over that. To the right of that, I'm going to put in not a big belt base, just kind of a starter base. Whoops. Let's do that. So the way I built this was I laid it out first. Okay. And I wanted to lay this out so that we had our coal, our fuel coming in from the bottom, nominally coal, and our ore coming in from the right. And this face-to-face splitters, I don't know why I'm going over this. We're doing space age here, but I'll dip back into basic Factorio stuff. This guy and this guy both feed onto this belt. He doesn't know which way to turn from, so he just comes straight down, which means these are actually side loading. So the coal coming in here will only go on the inner lane of this bus, of this belt. Our ore will come to the inner lane here, going the other way. So we get 2 half lanes going each way. Perfect. And the output, we're coming back out. If I were doing this as a bus-based system, our output would then turn and proceed north along the bus in the place of the ore that came in. But we're just doing a little mini base here. So I'm going to just set this up real quick. Let's set up all of the... Why don't I start by setting up all of the undergrounds? Keep you from having to keep bouncing on my picker tool. Darn rocks. Anybody else? We're good. Okay. Back to 1x. Yeah, we could put all of these in. Just like that. I'm going to put all of the power poles in. This is probably easier if I just glide north along the power pole lines and let the game put the power poles in for me. I'm out of power poles. Also, we do need to put in some lamps, and again we're going to have the lamps set to always turn on. So let's put the lamps in here, I really should fix the blueprint, but that's kind of tricky. Okay, power poles. I might have to pause again to make them if there isn't a big stash. I believe I've got a really big stash of wooden power poles right now. I dumped a lot of wood in there. Yes, I did. I'm going to run at 2x for a bit here so we can just really quickly let these land in place. I'm just holding down the button, and because it's all blueprinted, the game is placing the poles where the blueprint says to put them. Power grid comb, boom. And the power grid is all nice and gridded. One thing I don't like is that it has all these extra connections across here. I really want to bring this power out to here like this. So let's drop these in place just like that. There. Now we have our power line coming north. We have power feeding at each one of the smelters. We have one extra power line there to get rid of. There we go. That's power. Stone furnaces. We're carrying 100 of them. I know we've got a whole ton of them down there. But apparently this much of a smelter is 96. Convenient. There we go. Okay, so now you guys are waiting for fuel. Okay. Putting in the inserters is kind of a wish this around like this, and that puts all the inserters in. It might be easier if the belts are already there, so I don't accidentally put the inserters in over the belts. So let's bring it like that. Oops, oops, oops. Darn it. Okay, we did get the blueprint done there. If I do these first, that does not work. I'm still not really sure when it puts the undergrounds in and when it doesn't. I should have looked at this. Clearly, if we are swooping into a merger, it should just put it in there. I've had cases where it puts splitters, or yeah, puts undergrounds in when it shouldn't. So I mentioned on the power plant that I trimmed the ends of it because that was the end. Well, in this case, this isn't really the end. We are going to be tripling the length of this in the long run. So with these stone furnaces, this will actually smelt half of a yellow belt. When I upgrade to steel furnaces, it will smelt an entire yellow belt. Double it and you smelt a red belt, double it again and you smelt a blue belt. If we need to double our capacity before we have red belts, we can just make it longer. Okay, there's one. Our output comes out here, And what I'm going to do is I have a fancy box for stock capture that I'm going to toss right on there. So first dibs on copper plate is that fancy box just going to store a bunch of copper plate for us. And that will cause problems if you're not willing to wait. Potentially, these inserters will grab almost all of the output, especially if you end up upgrading them to fast inserters or bulk inserters. Okay. Enough said. We can just drop that in the copper. With that in place, I no longer need these furnaces making the copper. Let me put something back here so I can reinsert the copper ore. Oh, lights didn't get placed. My goodness. We want to reinsert the copper ore into the belt like that, so we don't need to carry it. Now it's likely we've got a whole bunch more stuff that's going to be grabbed, so let's drop that stuff. We're going to grab all of this again, and it's going to go here. I will set this up so I can dive under the existing smelters. That way we don't need to take down the smelters until we've actually got the whole thing hooked up. Okay. Power. I do the power first because that's the one where it only gets placed where the blueprint places it. I think there are add-ons where you can stripe things across and it'll only place them where the blueprint does it. It will not place something where there's a blueprint for something else. I haven't been able to find that add-on though. I know it exists. I've heard it mentioned. I seem to remember it existing. But for the life of me, I just can't find it. Okay, so we have power, we have the belt work done. Belt is going all the way out to here. I'm going to run you guys up to your destinations. Now, just by chance, I didn't plan this. I did leave one more belt in here. So I think that's our clue that we need to be bringing our stone in and having it lace through there. So I am going to go ahead and place our mini base parametric smelter. It's the only one I've done so far. And you are making stone brick. Now this is actually going to take in a full belt of stone and turn it into half a belt of brick. Because it's 2 stone per brick. Not sure why they balanced it that way, but they did, so it is what it is. Okay. All chopped. We can plan on this being stone. Actually, this being brick. And everybody else gets an underground, so we get an underground. There we go. Now, brick is kind of an exception. I'm going to let it... Now, that should have done an underground for the brick. We can bring you in anywhere here. I'm going to bring you in across here. I think my starter base is only ever going to need the 2 lines of copper. We can always move this line around if we need to. Okay. But brick is not yet. Now I have to really go make some more of those, don't I? Yes, I do. Hold on, I'm going to pause again. Okay. We're coming back with more miners. Okay, power here, over, there we go. There's iron. Let's get one of our iron going. While I am thinking about it, I can grab our fancy boxes and put in stock capture for iron plate. And might as well drop the one in here for brick. So the brick didn't get its power put in earlier. We'll set that up now. Okay, iron's coming north. I believe the coal is all done except for the belting. And of course up here we need to finish him up. Hate it when I do that. Okay. Power, furnaces, belts, time for the inserters. Missed a power pole there. We have some iron going. Yay! Again, that's half a belt of iron into half a belt of plate. And it won't really show that it's only half a belt until we actually start consuming it out on the right. Okay, let's get the stone routed. If I run out of time, I can always finish laying those guys out where we've planned them. Okay, stone. So we mined up a whole bunch of crap here. I need to make some space in my inventory to pick up all the crap we mined. So that got me a bunch of stone and a bunch of brick. Now, I'm running add-ons. Specifically, this one is the even distribution add-on. If I hit Shift C, it will refill things from my inventory as appropriate. And it needs to know what's appropriate, so yeah. Now, if I grab this, I try to put it on stone. Notice the stone is much shorter. We can still use it. If we put it there, everybody gets at least a little bit of stone. I think I'm going to go. Yeah, let's go there. Okay. Splitters. Undergrounds. Again, I'm just tapping that pipette tool to pick up the thing that I want to put in place. Okay, there's the right-hand guy. I'm not sure I'll be able to walk between them, so we'll... Out of belts? How can I be out of belts? Tell me I left a batch of belts on. I'll go get them. Hold on, I'll be right back. And yes, I did have a bunch of belts ready to go. Yay! And I'm out of mining drills. Jeez Louise. You drop the stone here. I'm going to put the coal back in these guys for now. Just in case I need some more before I get the stuff finished. I probably don't need to keep those, but anyway, miners. No miners. Okay, so pausing while I make more miners. Jeez. Miners on me now. Yay. Finish this up. Finish it. And we need to get power in. There we go. So stone is now feeding. 13 stone furnaces. I'm going to need 24 of them. Surely I have some more. Somewhere I had this guy. But when I tore that apart, I had all of these. So we're good. Okay, there we go. Now the inserters. You do all the ones that are facing the same direction at once. It's a little bit easier. And I know I have more inserters I can pick up. Made a whole ton of those at one point. I think that just put a whole bunch of wood in there. Oh, yes it did. Oh well, they're gonna chew up my wood. That's all right. I don't mind too much. I'm gonna call the recording here. I will finish off populating the rest of these guys and maybe do some cleanup in the area before we continue. I will be. Let's blueprint this out now to show how big this is going to be in the far future of Blue Belt land. So it'll be that big. So I will need to do site prep about there and fill this in. And that'll do it. I will see you in the next episode.